The Vedic science of Dharana. In a cave 11,000 feet up in the Himalayas, there is a man who has not moved in 9 hours, not shifted his weight, not scratched an itch, not blinked more than he had to. His disciples check on him twice a day. They bring water he does not drink. They bring food he does not touch, because right now, his body has become furniture. His mind has narrowed itself down to a single point of light, smaller than a coin, and for 9 hours, that point is the only thing that exists. Here's what should terrify you about that. He's not special. He wasn't born like this. 3 years ago, this man couldn't sit still for 3 minutes without his leg bouncing. Something turned an ordinary, restless, distractible mind into that. A discipline so old it predates most religions on earth. So precise, the Vedic sages treated it like a science rather than a spiritual mood. They called it Dharana. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how it works. The mechanism, the method, and the exact first step you could take tonight. Before we go there, if channels like this one, the ones actually digging into what these ancient minds figured out, instead of just repeating meditate more, are useful to you, subscribe now. Because what I'm about to show you is going to get more specific and more useful. The further in we go, you don't want to lose this halfway through. Coming back to video first, you need to understand what's actually broken in your mind right now, because it's worse than you think. Part 1. The horses. Right now, today, your attention span is being measured in seconds, not minutes, seconds, and it's not your fault, not entirely. But here's the part that should actually alarm you. 3,000 years ago, before phones, before television, before the printing press even existed, the Vedic seers already diagnosed this exact condition. They just used a different image. They said the mind is a chariot, the body is the vehicle, the intellect is the charioteer, and the senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, and craving, are 5 horses, tied to 5 different reins, each one bolting toward a different direction at the exact same moment. Sound familiar? Most people alive today are not driving that chariot, they are being dragged behind it. You sit down to do one task, and 40 minutes later, you are 3 videos deep into something you'll never remember watching. Nobody chose that the horses just ran. Now here's where it gets dangerous, because most self-help advice tells you to grab all 5 reins at once and pull, discipline harder, try harder, willpower your way through it. The Vedic sages knew that doesn't work. They knew something else, something almost nobody teaches you today. You don't tame 5 wild horses by fighting all 5. You tame them 1 rein at a time, and the technique for gripping that first rein is so specific, so mechanical, it was passed down as a formula, not a mood, a formula. I'm about to give you that formula. But first you need to see how far this actually goes, because what this cave-dwelling sage can do isn't the ceiling, it's the floor. Part 2. The definition that changes everything. Here's where almost every video on focus gets it completely wrong. They tell you to concentrate harder, as if attention is a muscle you clench. Patanjali, the man who systemized this entire discipline over 2,000 years ago, in a text called the Yoga Sutras, defined it with a phrase that sounds almost too simple to be dangerous: confining the mind within a limited mental area. 1 point. That's it. But here's the part that's going to reframe everything you thought you knew about focus, and I need you to actually sit with this for a second. Dharana is not the absence of distraction. It is not some enlightened state where your mind goes silent and stays silent. That's not this. That's a later stage entirely, the one most people never even need to reach. Dharana is the mind wandering again and being pulled back again and again, thousands of times. Not one moment of perfect stillness, thousands of tiny corrections. Like a sailor fighting a current that never once stops pushing, which means the sage in that cave isn't failing less than you. He's correcting faster than you. So much faster that from the outside it looks like stillness. Underneath, it's the fastest reflex a human mind can build, and that reflex has a training method, a real one. Not theory. It starts with fire. Part 3. The flame that follows you into darkness. The technique is called tritaka, fixed gazing. The instruction sounds insultingly simple. Sit before a single flame arm's length away at eye level. Do not blink if you can help it. Do not look away. Hold your gaze until your eyes water, until it becomes almost unbearable. And then you close your eyes. Here's the part that made the ancient practitioners obsessive about this exact technique. The flame doesn't disappear. It follows you into the dark. A ghost image, burned faintly behind your eyelids, hovering there for a few seconds before it fades. And they weren't chasing the real flame at all. They were chasing that afterimage, training the mind to hold on to something, even after the world had already taken it away. Think about what that actually trains. Every distraction in your life pulls you outward, toward a new flame, a new notification, a new stimulus screaming for your attention. Tritaka does the opposite. It trains the one skill almost nobody has anymore, holding on after the world has moved on. And here's where the ancient texts get almost eerily specific. Because they didn't just say, "This is hard." Patanjali actually listed the exact ways you will fail at it, by name: illness, doubt, laziness, sensory craving, and instability. Read that list again. That's not an ancient list, that's your Tuesday. Which means the failures you're having right now, today, sitting exactly where you are, a monk 3,000 years ago already diagnosed them, already named them, already handed down the exact fix. But here's the twist almost nobody mentions. This isn't really about candles at all. Part 4. Why this isn't just focus. You might be thinking, fine, but isn't this just concentration with extra steps? No, and the difference is the entire reason this discipline outlived empires. Western concentration, the kind bolted onto productivity apps and focus playlists, is concentration on a task. Finish the deck, read the chapter. The moment the task ends, the skill goes dormant. Dharana doesn't care about the flame, doesn't care about the mantra. The object is almost a decoy. What's actually being built is the apparatus underneath it. And once that apparatus is built, it can be aimed at anything: a conversation, a grief you've been avoiding, a decision that terrifies you. This is exactly why, on the other side of the world, with zero contact with Vedic India, the Spartans arrived at something nearly identical. Brutal, repetitive endurance training, not because the specific hardship mattered, but because the capacity built by enduring it could later be aimed at a battlefield, a death sentence, a moment where flinching means dying, same architecture, different continent. And once that apparatus is built in you, distraction doesn't vanish. I'm not going to lie to you and pretend it does. The notification still comes, the intrusive thought still shows up uninvited. What changes is the gap. For an untrained mind, that gap is 20 minutes. You surface from a scrolling session with genuinely no memory of deciding to open the app. For a mind trained in Dharana, that gap shrinks to seconds, not because the horse stopped pulling, because the charioteer got faster at noticing the rein went slack. That's the entire promise. Not a mind that never wanders, a mind that catches itself almost instantly. Now here's the only question that matters. How do you actually build that reflex, starting tonight, without a Himalayan cave? Part 5. The method. This is the part where I stop talking about the sage in the cave and start talking about you. Step 1. Choose your weapon. You get 3 options. Pick one, not all 3. The flame, Tritaka, exactly as I described, most intense, requires a dark, quiet room. The breath, no candle, no setup, works in a chair at your desk with your eyes closed. You're not controlling it, you're watching one single point, the exact sensation where air touches the edge of your nostril, nothing else. The mantra, a single word repeated silently on a loop, the easiest to smuggle into a normal day, a red light, a cue, a walk to your car. The old teachers actually preferred this one for beginners, because it demands 0 setup and 0 excuses. Pick one. Switching between all 3 every few days is the quiet, invisible way almost everyone sabotages this before it ever takes root. Step 2. And this will sound insulting, but do it anyway. Start at 2 minutes, not 20, not 10. 2. Here's why this actually matters more than the technique itself. A 2-minute session, you finish training your nervous system that this practice is something you complete. A 20-minute session, you abandon after 4 minutes. This trains the opposite, that this is something you quit. You are not training focus first. You are training finishing. Focus arrives after as a side effect, not a starting requirement. Step 3. Build the ladder, 2 minutes a day for 1 week. Then 5. Then 10. Somewhere around week 6 to 8, most people can sit with real single-pointed attention for 15 to 20 minutes. Not because the wandering stopped, but because the return got so fast it stopped registering as an interruption at all. And here's exactly what will try to stop you. So it doesn't catch you off guard. You will fall asleep or blank out completely mid-session. Fix. Sit upright, never lying down. If it keeps happening, switch to the flame. A visual pulls you back faster than a passive one. You will surface 10 minutes deep into a daydream. about something completely unrelated, with zero memory of leaving. This is not failure. This is the machine working exactly as it was built to. The instant you notice, that's the win. That's the entire rep. Don't investigate why you drifted. Don't be annoyed at yourself. Just return. The same way a sailor nudges the boat back on course without cursing the current for existing. That's the whole method. One object. 2 minutes. Extended slowly, across weeks, interrupted constantly, returned to without drama, thousands of times, until the returning stops feeling like failure and starts feeling like exactly who you are. That man didn't start at 9 hours. He started at 2 minutes. Same as you're about to. He just kept returning to the flame, long after it would have been easier to let the horses run wherever they wanted. I don't know what your flame is. Maybe it's an actual flame. Maybe it's a page you keep abandoning, a conversation you keep avoiding, a version of yourself you keep almost becoming, right before something pulls you away again. The Vedic sages never promised the pulling would stop. They promised something sharper than that. If you keep coming back patiently without drama, 10,000 times, the coming back stops being a discipline, it becomes your nature. So tell me, what's pulling your reins right now? Consider subscribing for more wisdom.